back in, everyone, and thank you for staying with us. Tonight, we are joined by Arturo Camacho, a University of Maine PhD candidate. Arturo, or as you said, call you Artie, thank you for being here tonight. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you guys for having me over.
Well, Artie, as I understand it, you have been studying repair culture. Can you tell me a little bit about that and what that means?
So repair culture means about the practices or repair practices into looking into fixing, not necessarily focusing only on an object itself, but also the bigger repercussions or bigger scope of what that means. So, for example, one of the things that I work on is on trying to find ways to make repair practices approachable. So on the education side, for example, if we're introducing repair as a learning tool, it can help make the whole repair culture aspect a little more positive, and it can be a little bit easier to digest. As you know, repairing can be overwhelming, right? When something breaks, it's really, really tough. But one of the things that I propose is by putting it in safe spaces like a classroom, it can reduce a lot of that stress. Now you can say we do that already on trade schools, right? But I mean in a way, yes, we do. But what I'm proposing is to looking at it in a more broad spectrum.
And how would we do that?
So, for example, let's think about a classroom setting, right? You can look at it like fixing things like a wind-up toy, explaining it that and to students, connecting it to things like physics, like potential energy, for example. A wind-up toy functions the same way. It's a spring. It builds potential energy. Same thing as with a snowblower recoil. Things like mending and the history of mending. There's a whole history related to how mending, knitting, and all these practices came to be. And it's not just as specific to fixing the object, right? One of the things that I try to be championing about the whole aspect of repair culture is that it not only helps you kind of digest some of these biggest challenges, but also it helps develop critical thinking, right? Which is a very important skill to have.
Of course. And so tell me, as you've been studying this, Maine seems to have a kind of unique repair culture, as I understand it. Can you tell me a little bit about Maine specifically and their repair culture?
Of course, yeah. So Maine, it's a very special place. As you can see, it's one of those things where we live in such a state that because of the the geography, because of the weather, because of the whole aspect that we have as a community, repair is kind of a necessity. Right? So you gotta be able to know certain things to be able to quote unquote survive, right? However, what I want to outline with this whole situation is that it's not necessarily, as I mentioned, just about the practice of repairing something, right? It's not just about the object. It's about building community, for example. Right? Most of the stuff that I learn in terms of repair, and fixing and all these things around, not only my house, but vehicles, etc., has been through friends and neighbors. A lot of these didn't came from school. It came from about meeting people, understanding people, sharing that knowledge. And that's the other thing. Knowledge is power. All of these knowledge is available, right? Everyone has had these practices. So Maine has that little environment that these kind of practices thrive. So I feel like it's something very important to promote and to keep people aware that it's there.
Okay. Well, Arturo, thank you so much for coming in today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it.
We'll be back with more after the break.